Hello and welcome to Standard Voice Television Global News at 3 p.m. today, 12th March 2026, equivalent to Islamic calendar 23rd day of Ramadan, 1447 after Hijrah. I am Hamida Muhammad Idris. In the headlines, President Tinubu attributes Electoral Act signing to national interest. Abuja High Court adjourns El-Rufai's fundamental right enforcement suit to March 25th. Defense Minister urges journalists to avoid undue publicity to terrorist propaganda. On the international scene, Ethiopia confirms heavy rainfall claims over 30 lives in Gamu zone. On a sport update, the Tigers beats Colombia 70-37 in FIBA World Cup qualifiers. Details of this and more will come to you in the bulletin. President Bola Ahmed Tinubu says he had no choice but to sign the Electoral Act and respect the decision of the National Assembly. He made this disclosure while addressing the All Progressives Congress EPC leaders and the Inter-Party Advisory Council IPAC at the State House Abuja. Tinubu also reflected on the challenges of governance and the nature of politics in a democratic system, noting that he chose to respect the rule of law rather than plunge the country into political turmoil. The president highlighted that democracy requires compromise and mutual support among political actors, noting that political competition often feels rewarding only when one is victorious. The Nigerian leader also added that leaders and citizens alike must learn to accommodate and support one another in order to strengthen democratic institutions. Presidency has ruled out the fuel prices control despite growing tensions in the Middle East that are causing uncertainty in the global oil market. Minister of Finance Wale Edun, who made this assertion during an interview on one of the national television program, said the federal government will continue to allow market forces to determine the price of petroleum products. He also explained that government intervention will only be considered if all other options fail. According to the minister, the current economic direction of the administration of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is built on market-based policies, particularly in the pricing of fuel and the management of foreign exchange. Edun also explained that allowing fuel prices to be determined by market forces was a key reform introduced by the present administration to correct long-standing distortions in the Nigerian economy. Still in the news, federal government has presented 82 academic textbooks authored to strengthen teaching and learning in tertiary institutions across Nigeria. Minister of Education Tunji Alausha, who disclosed this at the public presentation in Abuja, said the books were developed under the Higher Education Book Development Intervention Project of the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, TED Fund. He added that the fund also secured an additional 10 academic textbooks for distribution to tertiary institutions nationwide. The Executive Secretary of the TED Fund, Sonny Ekono, said the initiative was designed to address the persistent shortage of quality tertiary-level textbooks in Nigeria and strengthen teaching, learning, and research in higher institutions. He disclosed that 72 of the titles were newly authored under the TED Fund project, while 10 others were written by reputable scholars and secured for use by beneficiary institutions. An Abuja High Court has adjourned Nasir El-Rufai's $1 billion fundamental rights enforcement suit against the Independent Corrupt Practices and Other Related Offences Commission (ICPC) and 4 others until March 25th. For hearing, the presiding judge, Justice Joyce Abdul Malik, adjourned the case to allow parties in the suit to regularize their processes. The former Kaduna State Governor is demanding $1 billion in damages against ICPC, the Chief Magistrate at the Magistrates Courts of the FCT Abuja, the Inspector General of Police, and the Attorney General of the Federation, named as first to fourth respondents. When the case was called, Ubang Apan, who appeared for El-Rufai, informed the court that the matter was fixed for hearing. He, however, said they had just responded to ICPC's counter affidavit, but had yet to respond to the Inspector Generals. Also, ICPC's lawyer Abdul Sufianu Abubakar and the Police Counsel Ezekiel confirmed Akpan's submission. Kaduna State government has refuted a report circulating on social media alleging that Governor Obasani has endorsed certain aspirants for the National Assembly ahead of future political contests. The Commissioner for Information, Malam Ahmed Mayaki, in a statement clarified that the governor has not endorsed, anointed, or given preferential support to any aspirant seeking any elected position. The statement also described claim as false, misleading, and a figment of the imagination of its authors, urging the public to disregard the story in its entirety. According to Mayaki, Obasani remains a committed Democrat who believes firmly in a transparent, fair, and inclusive process that allows party members and stakeholders to determine who emerges as candidates through the constitutionally established mechanisms of the party. The statement, however, warned individuals and groups against the spread of fake news and politically motivated misinformation capable of creating tension within the political space and misleading members of the public. So on the news, the federal government has raised an alarm that between 12 million and 14 million Nigerians are living with glaucoma, a leading cause of irreversible blindness, with most unaware of their condition. Minister of State for Health and Social Welfare, Isaac Edekule Salako, disclosed this during a press briefing in Abuja to mark the 2026 World Glaucoma Week, describing the eye condition as a major public health concern. He also explained that studies show that 90 to 94% of Nigerians with glaucoma remain undiagnosed, highlighting the need for widespread awareness and routine eye examinations. To address this issue, the federal government has prioritized eye care services under the National Eye Health Strategic Development Plan 2024 to 2028. In another development, federal government has taken a giant step in its fight against HIV/AIDS with the arrival of a new long-acting injectable drug designed to prevent infection. The National AIDS Viral Hepatitis and STIs Control Program confirmed that the first shipment of long-acting injectable lenacapavir for the pre-exposure arrived on March 10, 2026. The federal director and director coordinator of the program, Adebobola Habashorin, said the introduction underscores the government's commitment to deploying innovative tools to fight HIV, enhance prevention, testing, treatment, and care, and move closer to eliminating HIV as a public health threat. He also added that the drug will be strategically integrated into the National HIV Prevention Program in collaboration with partners and stakeholders to ensure safe and effective deployment. The news is coming to you on Standard Voice Television. Still to come in the news. Defense Minister urges journalists to avoid undue publicity to terrorist propaganda. On the international scene, Ethiopia confirms heavy rainfall claims over 30 lives in Gamut zone. On a spot on scene, the Tigers beat Colombia 70-37 in FIBA World Cup qualifiers. Stand by for these and more after this break. Welcome back from that short break, and now the news continues. The media has been challenged on the need to avoid the dissemination of terrorist propaganda capable of demoralizing troops and giving unnecessary publicity to criminal elements. Minister of Defense General Christopher Musa gave the charge while addressing reporters after a meeting with service chiefs, during which they reviewed operational strategies across various theaters of operation nationwide. He also urged journalists to be professional in their reportage, adding that the armed forces, in partnership with other security agencies, are intensifying efforts to tackle terrorism, banditry, and other forms of insecurity threatening national stability. The defense minister also assured of the military's commitment to defeating all threats to peace and unity of the nation, and urged citizens to continue supporting security agencies by providing credible information that could aid ongoing operations across Nigeria. So on insecurity, troops of Sector 2 Joint Task Force Operation Harinkai have prevented attacks by insurgents on troops based in Goniri, Gujba local government area of Yobe State. Media and Information Officer, Headquarters of Joint Task Force Northeast, Lieutenant Colonel Sani Obaine's statement said the troops of the 120 Task Force Battalion Gwaniri successfully contained and repelled the attacks launched by ISWAP terrorists. He also added that the attacks occurred when the troops came under assault from multiple directions, noting that the terrorists were initially detected through surveillance assets approaching the military location simultaneously from Gwaniri village and Ngamdu Junction in an attempt to encircle the camp. The spokesperson said the troops responded with exceptional firepower, coordinating their defensive actions, while reinforcement and the air components of Operation Hidden Cake provided timely and decisive air support. Still on security challenges, the government, the United Nations and partners are intensifying efforts to tackle the growing threat posed by improvised explosive device IEDs used by terrorist groups in Nigeria. Coordinator of the National Counter-Terrorism Center, Major General Adam Mulaka, disclosed this at a counter-improvised explosive device IEDs workshop in Abuja, organized by the center in partnership with the United Nations Mine Action Service and British High Commission. He stressed that explosive devices had remained one of the most devastating threats faced by troops during counter-terrorism operations, particularly in northeast and northwest Nigeria. Also, the Chief of Mine Action Program at the United Nations Mine Action Service, Edwin Piagman, said the initiative was aimed at strengthening Nigeria's national capacity to mitigate threats posed by IEDs to civilian security personnel and critical infrastructure. Zamfara State Police Command has intensified efforts to checkmate the activities of criminal elements and restore normalcy across the state. Spokesperson of the command, DSP Yazid Abubakar, in a statement announced that they arrested a suspect in possession of a large cache of live ammunition. He also explained that a team of police operatives, while en route in patrol along with Funtua Federal Road at the Ankara checkpoint, acted on credible intelligence, which led to the arrest of one Mandir Adam from Safe local government area of Zamfara State. Abubakar also said the operatives recovered 800 rounds of AK-47 live ammunition concealed inside a motorcycle fuel tank. The statement added that preliminary investigation revealed that the suspect was traveling from Ongwarbawa Saminaka local government area of Kaduna State to Koteri village in Safe local government area of Zamfara State. Governor Dauda Lawal of Zamfara State has approved the appointment of Kabir Yahya Gusau as the pioneer managing director of the Gusau International Airport. The secretary to the state government, Abubakar Muhammad Nakwada, announced the approval in a statement explaining that the appointment is part of efforts to ensure effective coordination and operational readiness of the airport's project ahead of the commencement of operations. The airport is expected to boost international connectivity, attract investment opportunities, and promote economic growth in Zamfara State and the country at large. The governor also expressed confidence that the new managing director will use his expertise to ensure effective coordination and seamless airport operations in line with global standards. Moving to the foreign scene, no fewer than 30 people have been confirmed dead in floods and landslides following a heavy rainfall in the Gano zone of southern Ethiopia. Authorities said most people had died in highland areas where saturated slopes gave way after days of intense rain. Officials have called on residents in the vulnerable areas to take precautions, noting that the storms are becoming more intense in the region, partly due to climate change. Torrential rains have unleashed widespread flooding across East Africa in recent days, and scores have also died in neighboring Kenya. The Southern Ethiopia Regional State Governor Tilahun Kibedi, in a statement, commiserated with affected families and landslides and floods in the highlands of Gamo zone of the Ethiopia. And finally, to the sport and scene, Nigeria's the Tigers opened their campaign at the FIBA Women's Basketball World Cup qualifying tournament with a commanding 33-point victory over Colombia. The Nigeria senior women's basketball team defeated Colombia 70-37 to secure their first win of the tournament currently taking place in France. Nigeria led 18-12 in the opening quarter with impressive displays, but Colombia responded strongly to edge the second quarter. 17-16, the Tigers dominated the second half, outscoring Colombia 19-5 in the third quarter and 17-3 in the fourth to seal the victory, marking head coach Reina Wakama's 14th win since her appointment in 2023. The Tigers currently rank 8th in the FIBA World Rankings, reflecting consistent progress and strong performances in recent international competitions. Nigeria will face South Korea in their next group match scheduled today, Thursday. Finally, on the news, the top stories again. President Tinubu attributes Electoral Act signing to national interest. Abuja High Court adjourns El-Rufai's fundamental right enforcement suit to March 25th. Defense Minister urges journalists to avoid undue publicity to terrorist propaganda. On the international scene, Ethiopia confirms heavy rainfall claims over 30 lives in Gamu zone. On a sport update, the Tigers beats Colombia 70-37 in FIBA World Cup qualifiers. On behalf of the production crew led by Ilya Adama Auta, I am Hamida Muhammad Idris. Thank you for investing your time and staying with the news. Ramadan Mubarak.